everyone. Thanks for hanging with Hilari. Come on, Dee Dee, we're gonna go hang. We've got friends and family, peasants and groundlings, lurkers and lovers. Welcome to Hang with Hilari. Come on, Dee Dee, let's go meet today's guest and my co-host, David Maldo from Let's Do Video.
Hey, thanks for having me here again, Hilari. My favorite day of the week.
Oh, it's my favorite day of the week too. I love this. I love doing you're over here this week. We're all backwards. So thank you all for coming to hang with me on a Wednesday. I appreciate you all. This is only our 6th episode, David. Can you believe that?
Wow. We've been doing this. We should celebrate with
I think we need a go, go, go here too. Oh, oh my gosh. David is my Ed McMahon, my Twitch, my Paul Schaefer that I'm so happy about. So if you're just joining us now, this is where I hang with my fabulous, incredible friends every week that I want to share with the world and to all of you. So please hit the subscribe button so you can follow us because we have got some incredible guests. I am so happy of the people who are sharing their time with us, David. I can't even believe this.
Hilari, we have people being nice to us in the chat already. We just started.
I know. We see our friends. We got the divas.
Jason, Trey.
Trey and Loretta, who are our divas, and we've got Jason. So happy you guys are here.
Hey.
So join us. Next week we've got on February 24th, Jeanette Nguyen, who's an incredible fashion designer. And on March 3rd, we have the incredible Rosalie Tim. She's a deaf entertainer and icon. If you see this Nightbot that pops up in the chat, Nightbot is David's little pal. Well, it's both of our pals, I would say, that you can just do exclamation point commands and see what it can do. And it automates answers for you. But I don't want to talk about technology because I want to bring on today's guest. We are so lucky to have the fabulous, the incredible Darius de Haas. Let's give it a round of applause.
Yay! Look at you. Look at that. Look at that. Thank you so much, Hilari. Hi, David.
Hey, so good to see you.
So for people who don't know, the three of us are actually in 3 completely different states at the moment. So Darius, you're chiming in behind your makeup mirror in New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Oh
yes, I am. I'm here in Lambertville, New Jersey.
Now, what are you doing in New Jersey? Because I know you're usually based out of New York.
Yeah, well, my husband Kyle and I, we have had like a little getaway place for a number of years, and it's switched over time. We've jumped around over time, but we found our sort of nice communities in Bucks County, out here in Bucks County. And for those people on the East Coast who may be familiar with the Bucks County Playhouse in Pennsylvania, in New Hope, Pennsylvania, I'm basically right across the bridge in Lambertville, New Jersey, right across the bridge from that. So that might give a point of reference for some audience members. But basically, I am like 70 miles just outside of New York.
That sounds good. 70 miles outside of New York.
Just outside of New York, just a sort of a nice, more bucolic kind of setting, sort of nice place to sort of unwind, settle your brain. We're very, 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 very fortunate to be able to have had this all these years and to have jumped around, but always in sort of in the environs of this community. But then, when duty calls, I'm in New York. I mean, normally before the pandemic, I would have been in New York during the week, and then we'd be here the weekend. But we happened to be out here when the pandemic hit, so we spent a lot of time in Lambert.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Darius is a very popular and busy man, and I want to be able to read his bio. And I brought him up just because he has done so many good things. I wanted him to be up here to share this moment with me. Okay, so Darius's bio, he has done many things. He enjoys a multifaceted career as a singer, recording artist and actor who's best known as the singing voice of Shy Baldwin on the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. His Broadway credits include Kiss of the Spider Woman, Rent, Carousel, Marie Christine with Audra McDonald. It's one of my favorites, the Gershwins Fascinating Rhythm, and Shuffle Along. Other credits include Children of Eden at the Papermill Playhouse, his Obie Award winning performance in Running Man with the Music Theater Group, Once on This Island, First National Tour, the bubbly Black girl sheds her chameleon skin at Playwrights Horizon, Jesus Christ Superstar Gospel at my hometown theater, the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, and As You Like It at the Delacorte Public Theater. He has performed at Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, American Songbook, Disney Concert Hall, the Kennedy Center with numerous symphonies. His recordings include Quiet Please by Bridge Records, Daydream, various variations on Strayhorn with PS Classics, as well as many original cast recordings. Darius is honored to serve on the International Board of Directors for Covenant House, serving homeless youth throughout the US and South America. And he's also a founding member of Black Theater United. So a big round of applause again for Darius de Haas. Guys, we have such a treat for you today. Darius shared something with us that not everybody has seen before. For all those marvelous Mrs. Maisel fans, we see you in the chat. We got a bunch of our divas. For people who don't know, Darius and I actually went to conservatory together many, many moons ago in New York, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy, and a bunch of our diva classmates, Trey and Moretta, have joined us in the chat. So they're watching you and they say very cool glasses. So yeah, we
hang with you no matter what. Moretta,
you know, it's one of those things that I think is so important in this business. You make good friends and you have these connections and they stay with you for life, and your careers what's that?
It's rare. It can be very, very rare, particularly in this business, because you meet so many people and it's such a transient business, you know, when you really make those connections and connect with people who really become friends and who really hold each other and support each other through whatever. That's a real special thing.
And I think that's one of the beauties of theater. You bond together like a family. Like certainly conservatory, we were together every day for 2 years from 7 in the morning probably till 7 at night. Intensive study. And we were young, we were just getting our feet wet, and most of us, it was our first time living in New York City, and it was a pivotal point for me, at least, you know, in my life, and discovering independence and being in New York and in my 20s, and I'm so glad that was something that we were able to share. And as I've watched your star rise, I was always just say, Darius, I know him. We can tap dance together at 7 a.m.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Her ballet class with Jaji Guan.
Jaji, yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It was, we've got some stories, but before we dive into the stories, you can ask us questions in the chat because I am watching. But I want to show you a very special clip that Darius shared with me. They put it together for him for consideration of him singing One Less Angel from the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and you'll get to see a little bit of magic behind the scenes of how it was done. So David, let's go to the screening room and we're going to watch this clip.
The stars shine, your eyes catch mine. Your light is all I can see. Could there be one less angel in heaven? Come home, one less angel in heaven. Must be one less angel in heaven. 'Cause you're here smiling at me. Oh, the strings play, you move my way. I'm soaring now, I
Facing the ocean, not the pool.
Away from the ocean.
And the ice machine.
Near the cigarette machine.
Rose, who shouldn't be?
It's laundry day.
Get up there. I am not a prostitute. I'm a comic. Is there a difference? Yes. Prostitutes get paid more. So 1960. Change is coming. If I am gonna do this, then I have to do this.
Off to the races.
Ma'am, off to the races. You put this in my head. You made me passionate and independent and broke. You're welcome.
My baby, my angel, lovely won't you stay? My heart stops, the music drops, the world falls away suddenly. Oh, one less angel in heaven. There was one less angel in heaven. My baby said yes, I'm in heaven. My angel loves me. She said she loves me. Oh, that's
I love you so much. I love Vegas.
Bravo, bravo. David, take us to the big theater. There we are. There he is.
That was
Bravo.
great.
Bravo.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, the chat's going wild. Everyone's like, "It's my
Chat
favorite."
going wild. The chat's going wild. There's pandemonium in the chat.
Oh my gosh. So Darius, tell us a little bit of background about that clip.
Oh my goodness. Well, I tell you, I watching it, I am just reminded how grateful I am to have been but a small cog in the huge, beautiful wheel that is the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I mean, it takes so many people to create what you saw, and it was just so amazing to work with the people in the studio who were recording it, to working with Leroy McLean, who played Shy Baldwin, and working very, very closely with him to help flesh out that character musically as well as just historically, just where he was at that time, and just working with all those great craftspeople. I mean, we have a shared fan club, you and I, Hilary, of David Mullen, who did such amazing cinematography on that show, and has won Emmys for it, and deservedly so. I mean, the cast, the crew, the Palladinos, Amy Palladino, Dan Palladino. I mean, it really was such a great teaching moment, a big teaching moment for me being on that set and just watching everyone do what they do, and just how everyone, just huge crews of people come together to create just those beautiful specific moments. And I was just thrilled to be part of it.
Oh my gosh. Your voice, like I knew the second I heard it. I was like, that's Darius de Haas. Oh my gosh. But no, during when we were prepping for Hang with Hilary, you were saying that they actually had you put together some of these clips for your consideration, and Amazon had you film that performance in your bedroom.
Yes, I mean, actually, where I am sitting right now, I am.
Well, you're in the theater right now.
Yeah, I'm in the theater. I'm in the theater. Yes, but in my guest bedroom where I was on lockdown, as we've all been on lockdown, Amy Palladino and the producing team and the music supervisor, Robin Erdang, who, first reached out to me at the beginning of the Maisel journey and said, give us some recordings, see if we can make a match vocally for Shy Baldwin. And she was part of the producing of this. And they hired a wonderful director, Leigh Silverman, who is a theater director, New York theater director, who was actually an assistant director on Rent many years ago. And now she's like this amazing theater director, and now getting her feet wet in TV and film. And so she directed me in my guest bedroom against this very small backdrop between the bed and the door entrance, all that stuff that you see me doing, dancing around in my tuxedo and everything, all in a very small space. And then they put all those wonderful backdrops behind me, and then they incorporated those wonderful ladies, Marquita and Alicia and Brennan singing behind me. They all filmed separately, and then they put them all together. It's amazing what technology can do, because originally the four-year consideration was actually going to be a big blowout, or at least the idea for it. I don't know if they were going to follow it through. The idea for it was going to be performing at Radio City Music Hall.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah, they were going to do it at Radio City Music Hall. And
Oh.
then the pandemic hit, and it was like, womp, 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 womp. So this is what ended up being, and I was so glad to do it. It was, I mean, I had to learn a lot of skills and do a lot of takes and a lot of filming and submitting a lot of stuff through my little phone, and and Google Drive's got a good workout.
Well, Darius, we have a surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
We can't bring you to Radio City Music Hall, but on Hanging with Hilari, through the magic that my co-host David Maldo is able to provide, we are able to take our guests and bring them anywhere in the world to their happy place. So if you, besides Radio City, if there was a place anywhere on this planet you could be right now to perform, to practice your art, to talk about art, where would you go, Darius?
Well, because it's been the site of so many different milestones in my performing career, I would say Lincoln Center.
David, let's show, there we go.
Look at that, Lincoln Center.
And for people who are out of state or out of the country, can you please let our good friends who are watching know, what is Lincoln Center? What happens here?
Well, Lincoln Center is one of the premier, if not the premier, performing arts center of New York City. It is just north of what we know Broadway, the Great White Way, and it's in smack dab at the beginning, I would say, of the Upper West Side. And for those people who may not be familiar with Lincoln Center per se, it is, in terms of performing arts centers, a relatively, I mean, it's not as new as others, but it was erected like in the 1960s, I believe. I can't remember the exact year, but if you are familiar with the movie version of West Side Story, where they shoot the opening sequence where the Jets and the Sharks are getting ready to fight and throw down, you know, that was, a lot of that was shot on the grounds of what eventually became those buildings in back of us. Became Lincoln.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. You learn something new every day, because with the fountain behind your head, it's very peaceful. I met.
Yeah,
you were there. That was right near where AMDA was.
Right near where AMDA was on 70. We were on 73rd Street in the Ansonia, and Lincoln Center is on 65th Street between Amsterdam and Broadway, and it is the place where I have had so many beautiful performing experiences for Broadway and for my concert career. It has really given me such a great platform in which to launch and to expand and grow.
David, let's go inside the theater and show everyone.
It's such a special magic place that we don't have to wear jackets.
Yeah.
Even though it's winter, we don't feel the winter as long as you're close to the music.
You feel embraced by the theater.
It's something warming about the theater.
Oh,
yes.
This is my happy place.
That is my happy place too.
Oh my goodness. It's true. Thank you, David.
And it will come back. Just hang tough. It will come back, everyone.
It will. Things have been pivoting. Have you been able to pivot during the time of pandemic? Have you been able to record, or how have you stayed creative?
Well, I tell you, I have been very, very, very fortunate, Hilary. I mean, we just talked about the process of recording that For Your Consideration video for the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel,
In your
and
bedroom.
that was all in my living. So I did that, and I did another song, original song, No One Has to Know, all recorded there. So that's kept me busy. There were things in the works before the pandemic hit. I was set to return to the public theater to do a show at the Delacorte that I had done in 2017, a new version of As You Like It, and where I played Duke Sr. And I was so crestfallen that that didn't happen. But we managed to do a documentary. The creators of that show actually did a documentary for the All Arts channel, and I was interviewed for that. And I got to do some other work for the public theater as well, some readings. I have been doing actually quite a bit of recording, just being able to have networked in the time that I did before the pandemic, making connections with the music producers of Maisel because they've got their interests in different things. So I, recorded a few jingles. I did a spot. I was part of a spot for, I believe it was Heineken, where I sang, "What a day for a daydream. What a day for a daydreaming girl." We did a summer spot for that.
I would buy all the beer. I would
Yeah,
get,
buying all the beer.
think I
Buying
need
all
them.
the beer. Yeah. So yeah, I've been fortunate to stay very busy either through performing and or through having to promote things like Maisel or through advocacy for my various, Covenant House, which I'm on the board of directors for, does an annual thing for um its organization called Night of Covenant House Stars, and we've always done it
Fabulous.
live. We've always done it actually here at Lincoln Center.
And who else? Because you had it was a whole night of stars that performed. Who else did you share the stage with?
Well, I shared it with my dear friend and fellow board member, Capathia Jenkins. We sang "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." Audra McDonald, Broadway royalty, is also on the board, and she did, I think, a lovely speech. I don't think she sang that particular performance. And who else did they have? They had people like Meryl Streep and Diane, and them.
They're in good company with you. They're like, and we get to share this.
Most importantly, they got to incorporate our wonderful residents who have found shelter at Covenant House, who've been able to expand and grow in their interests. And, we have a lot of very talented musicians and poets and writers, songwriters, who have been able to be nurtured at Covenant House. And they did a wonderful musical collaboration in which they got to show their talents as well. It was a wonderful, wonderful evening.
So if you have a few extra dollars to spare, donate in Darius's name to Covenant House. It's an incredibly important organization.
And it is Night of Covenant House Stars. It's coming back this summer as well. So look out for it.
And we'll give a shout out for that. I want to go and talk about your incredible Broadway career, because that was the very first Broadway show you did was because of the Spider Woman, right? So what was that like, doing theater and performing and singing and studying and then auditioning? I mean, how many auditions did you have in your lifetime working up to that? And what was it like getting cast in your very first Broadway show?
Well, I'll tell you, Hilari, I don't think I've told any other AMDA alumni, any of my fellow AMDA divas this, but I was unemployed for a good chunk of time before
All were.
But I felt like everyone else had gotten a job. Everybody.
Serious, you know what?
going to summer
I was
stock
a
and
wench at the Renaissance Festival. That was my job. I was in a corset singing bawdy songs at the Renaissance Festival. If you want to say,
boys
I
in the
thought
back
everyone
will
had
laugh
a.
and tell them I'm having the same. You were doing your best Marlena Dietrich, right?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, just I talk to a lot of young actors, and they're like, "Oh, I just want to be on Broadway," and they think it's 5 auditions and you're in. And I don't think they. I mean, look at Pipes like that. He was born with a gift, but then you spent decade like training and honing and studying,
Yeah,
and even then,
there is no one way. It can be very circuitous, and I remember after we graduated, because I had already had my equity card, so I couldn't audition for anything other than equity productions. And of course, I'm up against people who have been in New York much longer, and I'm like, oh man, let me just do. So I had a number of auditions where it was like, okay. And I mean, I auditioned for Theater Works knowing that I was going to get that Theater Works job, and they called me in 3 times, and no.
no, do you know that's how I got my equity card? Through Theater Works.
Yeah.
But you
yeah.
know, people don't understand. I mean, there must be 1,000 people trying to get an audition. Maybe they auditioned a few hundred people.
Oh yeah.
And I got cast in Freaky Friday, written by Mary Rogers, who's
Rogers, yes.
the daughter of Rogers and Hammerstein, right?
And the mother of Adam Gettle.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yes, and for those of you who all don't know who Adam Gettle is, and I'm about to do theater geeky thing for anyone who's a Broadway. Off Broadway he wrote a show called Floyd Collins. He did a show that I did called Saturn Returns at the Public Theater, also known as Myths and Hymns, which they've just done a wonderful reimagining of that you can catch on YouTube. They've just released it this year. And he did, what's the show at Lincoln Center? It was, gosh.
Anyone in the chat? Anyone in the chat?
Someone in the chat.
They're in a delay. They're in a delay. But
there's a delay. It'll come to me.
The Hilary shows at Lincoln Center.
The
Hilary shows at Lincoln Center.
The Hilary show.
The Hang with Hilary. There you go.
But it was it was a different show.
Yeah.
But it was things like I mean, Theater Works took me to the Kennedy Center, but we were there in the daytime. But still, I can say that, I performed at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
I think the biggest claim to fame for Theater Works is we actually were playing at the same theater that Dolly Parton was playing. And of course, we were during the day and she was at night. So they put our name first on the marquee and Dolly underneath it. And
I love that.
it's like, and so that was a proud moment. But she was very generous and gave us all tickets to go see her show. And I will never forget that. That was
I love Dolly Parton.
right.
Love
She needs to come hang with Hilary. I think, we need to.
Yes. Dolly would hang with Hilary.
Oh, Moretta gave you Light at the Piazza.
A Light in the Piazza. Yes. It just would not come to my brain. Thank you, Moretta. And I think Kyle was shouting it from the other room as well. Piazza.
The Hubs. Yeah. Leave it to Moretta and the Hubs.
Adam Gettle wrote that. Mary Rogers, very, very talented son. And so
okay, there's just 2 other things on my list to talk about because I love these stories so much. I want you to share them.
Yes.
So now going from having this incredible Broadway career, recording artist career, to then working in film. And I love that you said that you were actually an extra on Malcolm X by Spike Lee.
A non-union extra on Malcolm X. And yes, I'll just tell it.
And then you got to meet him afterwards.
Yes. Well, this was one of my little jobs that I managed to get before I managed to get an actual I shouldn't say, because it was a job, but a more longer spanning job before I got hired for the first national tour of Once on This Island, which finally got me on my way. But before that, I did audition and get hired to be an extra for Malcolm X. And I put it on my resume, one, because I didn't have any other film credits at the time. And also, when I saw the film, I could see myself in the film, which was amazing because I only did one day. You know, because normally shooting those big sequences, and if for anyone who's seen the film, it was the sequence in which they did the big jitterbug thing when Malcolm X was still Malcolm Little, and they called him Red, and he was hanging out with Spike Lee's character, whose character I can't remember, but they're at the club looking at all the people jitterbugging and seeing who they're gonna get to dance with them. And they're like all these soldiers on leave from the war, and I had my little soldier outfit on. And as Spike and Denzel are looking on the dance floor, there's this little faint figure all the way in the back who does this little cross, and it's right between Denzel and Spike's head. And years later, when Spike had been up to direct the film version of Rent. He was going to be the original director of Rent before the studio snatched it from him. I auditioned for him for the Rent movie, and I specifically auditioned for him. It was him and Tim Wilde, who was our musical director for Rent, and it was just the two of them in the room. And he had me sing Santa Fe and everything, and he was wonderful. Spike Lee was wonderful, and he was in it and just having such a good time. And then he's looking at my resume, he's like going, Malcolm X. And I said, yes, Malcolm X. And I explained to him the whole story that I just explained to you all, and he laughed. I said, look, I could see myself, if you want to watch your own film, Spike, and my little body crossing between you and Denzel's head, you know, that's me. But I knew that wasn't going to be for me. You know, I did one day of that, and I was like, nope, can't do any more of that. So I was shocked that I even saw that little bit of me in there.
Well, I love that you said that this was before Rent, which is one of my absolute favorite musicals of all time. I don't care what anyone says. I love it. And I was so excited when I remember when you got cast and we were talking, I was like, what role? And you did so many roles. You did Angel, you did Collins, Benny, the Squeegee Man, Homeless Man, Rodney. And I don't think if you don't work in theater, you don't know how hard it is to be cast as swing, which means you have to you have to cover a bunch of different these tracks, and any night you could be pulled to do any one of these roles.
Absolutely.
Can you explain what that is like, Darius?
Well, I tell you, I'm grateful to have had youth on my side back then, because Lord knows I wouldn't be able to do that now. I've been hired to while it was still off Broadway. I've been hired along with a number of other wonderful people for the Broadway transfer. And the first thing is that you don't know who you're going to be covering right away. You kind of have an idea, but you know, they're so busy trying to just get the show acclimated to its Broadway theater and getting the cast who has been doing it acclimated to it and everything. And you're just sort of looking at everything is like, well, let me just learn everything I can. And, you know, so you have no idea really, maybe until maybe just before previews. I think I learned that it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that I was going to be covering Collins, Benny, and the Squeegee Man. and Byron Utley's role, the Christmas bells are ringing, Christmas bells are ringing. So I pretty much know I was going to be doing those four. And Rodney probably as well. You know, it's going to be between myself and my friend Mark Setlock, who is, side note, was the original Angel in the workshops. And then he was brought on to cover the show on Broadway. But I tell you, you find out you were in previews, and I remember the first time there was like a possibility of me going on and I wasn't ready. And because Jesse L. Martin had gotten really sick during the first act, had like food poisoning or whatever, and was throwing up during the first act, and everybody was looking at me like, get ready. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know, you know, so I'm in my script and I'm like, oh my God. It was just mortifying. He made it through. He stayed on through the end of the show, bless his heart. But
I'm sure that got your blood pressure, your heart.
but I was just palpitating because I was like, oh my, and the thing is, you just never know. Just like the one character I wanted to go on for really bad, but just because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, was Angel. And they didn't put me on for Angel for the longest time. You know, and I was just so physically different from Wilson
Right.
Heredia. And you know, and they were putting on Mark Setlock a lot, who was the other Angel cover. But I had been on vacation. I'd gone on vacation and I got back, and the day I got back, and I remember my sister was visiting me in New York, and they said, Darius, you're on. Wilson has sprained his ankle. You're on. So it was just my first time back from vacation. And we all had to, you know, we were all in great fear of doing that role because at the time they would not modify anything. So I don't know if anyone remembers who's seen the original production that Wilson not only jumped off the table during Today for Me, Tomorrow for You, but jumped on the table in those big heels.
And had you rehearsed
Let
that?
that sink in. Let's let that sink in.
Did you rehearse that though? Or
We rehearsed it relentlessly because no one ever said, oh, well, let's change it, you know, for you all, you know, because Wilson, just because he could, you know, he could jump on the table in those big heels and jump off. And so we all were rehearsing that, and it was the thing that gave me such agita.
that's so unfortunate. Of all the things.
And if I wipe out, it's gonna be over.
Bye, Angel. Yeah.
But dead angel.
Dead.
I never wiped out. I actually ended up going on for Angel a lot. I never wiped out. I have gone on when the music didn't come on, because they had like a recording for Today for You, Tomorrow for Me. He did it to a track. And I've
So you cheated, basically.
So basically the band, the actual band was like, oh my God, the music's not coming on. So like, dun, 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 dun. Today for you, tomorrow for me. And I did my whole thing. But it was just, oh my goodness. And finding out that I was gonna cover 6 people.
Oh my God.
And I went on.
I feel myself sweating for you.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
I did swing once for a show in Los Angeles at the Tiffany Theater, and I was like, this is so crazy. I will never do this again. And it also happened to be the one track that was like ensemble, so it was like multiple characters. And so I think one moment I'm a bandolier, and the next moment I was a nurse. And there was a scene where I had rehearsed it, but never with the props. Somehow they didn't have the props like during our rehearsal with the understudies, with the swings. So I had all the movements down, but the doctor was calling through things throughout the song. So everything was on a rhythm, like scalpel. And I'm looking at this table and I'm like, I don't know what any of these instruments are called. All I just know is I have to hand him something on the cue. And the actor was looking at me like, you have no fucking clue what you're doing. And I'm looking at him like, you're right, but I'm keeping with the music,
Yeah.
and hopefully the audience can't tell the difference between a scalpel and whatever the other instruments.
And that in a nutshell is what the responsibility of a swing is. It is such a hard
So
job
hard.
because you have to be able to fall in to whatever track, whatever pat. I mean, and I have to say that show gave me such respect for people who do that.
Oh,
And when I see someone who's has to come in and, you know, because not only do you have to learn the songs, you have to learn the choreography, you have to learn the lines, you have to learn also what the actors who are doing the show night after night on stage are expecting. Like if there are like little things like, you know, I know after if I went on for Jesse and singing the I'll Cover You reprise, that after I sing my last note, I have to grab Gwen's hand afterwards because there was a little moment where he had to grab Gwen's hand, and she was like, grab my hand. I'm like, okay, you know, grab her hand, you know, just all these little things. But it gave me such respect for the
wow.
craft and just how beautifully staged that show was. I
We've
mean,
got
Michael
Jason
Black,
Gaffney in the chat saying swings are the superstars of the theater world.
I tell you, they really are. And it gave me such respect for Marlise Yearby and how she made bodies move through space, and it just was such a great experience in terms of really getting down to craft and doing the work.
Well, Darius, now that we're talking about Rent and singing, I absolutely love your voice. The very first time I heard you sing, and everyone can attest here, our jaws were on the floor. Truly, truly. It's a moment I don't think because we all had to sing for each other that first day when we were meeting
Oh
each
yeah.
other. And Darius got up and we looked at each other and we just knew a star was in our midst. It was just one of those things. So I want you to experience a little bit of Darius, who has graciously agreed to sing a song. We gave him some romantic lighting. So Darius is going to sing a little bit a cappella right here on Hanging with Hilari of Without You. So this song is from Rent. Um, I'm going to give you a big round of applause. So David, let's go ahead and put Darius in his room, and anytime you're ready, Darius.
Oh goodness. Well, this is my favorite song. When people ask me what my favorite, you know, it's always this song, which you know I never sing. I've never really sung it outside of the show, but I love it. So let's see. Haven't sung it all today. Without you, the ground thaws, the rain falls, the grass grows. Without you, the seeds root, the flowers bloom, the children play, the stars gleam, the poets dream, the eagles fly. Without you, the earth turns, the sun burns, but I die without you. Without you, the breeze warms, the girl smiles, the cloud moves. Without you, the tides change, the boys run, the oceans crash, the crowds roar, the days soar, babies cry without you. The moon glows, the river flows, but I die without you.
Oh my God. My soul, my heart needed that. You still make me cry, Darius. What a gift. What a gift. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God. All right. So I'm going to put myself together. And I'm going to shift gears a little bit because that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. Thank you. I want you all to meet Darius's family, and he put together something very special this Christmas. And it was actually filmed by our classmate Shelley, Shelley Williams, who we love and adore. And
I'm an amazing director and activist, and just she's
incredible.
amazing.
She's amazing. And we're going to go to the screening room, and David, let's keep Darius on the screen, and he's going to let's let about 20 seconds of the clip go, and then I want Darius to describe what we're seeing, because this is all his family, and I'm so happy that we get to meet. Oh, look at that, I'm still crying. Our classmates are showing you a lot of love, saying better than ever, and we all love you so much. All right, so let's go to the screening room and let's hear a little bit of Let Me Carry You This Christmas, and then go ahead and pop Darius in.
You don't have to wrap the presents. I know where the bows are. You don't have to hang each bough and bell. I can play your favorite carols. I'm sure I know which those are. No more gifts to get. The stockings all are set.
So who are we seeing here, Darius?
That's my family. It's my mother and father and sister. When, at a Christmas many years when I was a wee child. And, this song came out of the fact that I love Christmas music. And it's a song called Let Me Carry You This Christmas, let me say that. And it was written by Tom Miser and Curtis Moore, who wrote the original songs for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, One Less Angel that you heard earlier, as well as No One Has to Know. And they've written other songs for Maisel as well. And they are wonderful theater songwriters for the musical theater. They've written a lot of amazing musical theater shows. But this, I forged such a wonderful relationship with them during the filming of Maisel that I said, could you guys write me a Christmas song? And I relayed to them my experiences with my family and the process of putting my parents into a nursing home in this past year. And they're at the Actors Fund home here in Englewood, New Jersey. And just talking about Christmas traditions and how it changes from your parents making all these things happen for you to
And this is your dad right here, right?
And that's my dad. And that was shot at the grounds of the Actors Fund home. So shifting of traditions and stuff, and that's my mother there, and we're outside because of course we couldn't be inside last year and still can't be inside. So they were rolled out, and we visited them social distanced, and I actually shot that footage. My husband Kyle shot footage of me in our house here in Lambertville. This was shot at Birdland, where you're seeing now, Birdland Theater in New York. Those are my neighbors. That's my Uncle Andy. That's my mother and Uncle Andy. That's Kyle. That's everybody. There's old pictures and new pictures. and my dear Ted Firth, who was my musical director, and recording studio, and more of my neighbors from Lambertville. Yeah, so just really about family and coming together, and just how I felt that, particularly in this year, we are going to need a lot of love, in particular during the Christmas, because as joyous a season as Christmas can be for people, it's also one of the most devastating times of year, and one of the most difficult and very emotional, and people feel profound loss, um, um, profound isolation. And I wanted this song to talk to them as well, to talk to them about memories and celebrating your memories, and 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 being able to show the love, but also the challenges that it comes with putting your parents in a home, and still taking care of them, and taking care of family, and still making the best of it, and being able to still count our blessings with all of that. So that's what that song was about, and hopefully we raise a little bit of money for the Actors Fund and
Tell
for
people what the Actors Fund is for again.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Tell them what the Actors Fund, what does the Actors
So
Fund
the
do?
Actors Fund is a wonderful organization that was put together to support not only actors in need, but anyone associated with the performing arts. And whether you are a stage technician, whether you are a makeup artist, whether you were a movie star, whether you are a stage manager, or whether you are related to someone in the performing arts. Now, my parents could get in the Actors Fund home regardless of me or my sister, because my mother's a singer, my father's a jazz bassist. So they could have gotten in on their own merit, but because also I was in the performing arts and everything, they qualified. And they have not only have a home for elderly people, but have two wonderful buildings erected in New York. One which is the Aurora, and the other one whose name I can't remember. A place in Brooklyn for people also struggling with HIV, and HIV/AIDS, and other illnesses as well. So they do a lot of great work, and people in need, people who are also in transition. They are also great support for that as well. So please support the actors.
Oh, the Actors
They do a lot
Fund.
of great work.
I have a friend who was going through a hard time, was about ready to be homeless, had been an actor for many years,
Mhm.
and turned to the Actors Fund. They were so kind and generous, got him set up in an apartment, helped him with food. And the favorite thing I remember, when we were all at AMDA, that we got introduced to the Actors Fund because they said, if you're an actor and you want to go audition, they'll give you a $50 voucher for a pair of shoes. I
Yes.
don't know if they still do that, because the person who put this grant together said, I believe every actor deserves to have a nice pair of shoes they can audition in so they can get a job and get their career started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's really
It's
those
incredible.
amazing gestures, and what I've found, particularly in this past year, of how we've had to come together, particularly because we can't be in the theaters per se, despite the fact that we're here in Lincoln Center now.
We are.
But but how this community is really supporting each other, and really just just by trying to supply content, or really saying, look, none of these things stop. We still have people in need. We still need to raise the money. We still need to get supplies out there,
Right.
and the Actors Fund has been a beacon for that.
I agree. David, let's bring this conversation to our last set. One of my happy places, my cozy cabin here. Let's go to the cabin where we could go ahead and uh, I love this place,
I
and
love this
Me
I'm with
too.
my friends. Yeah, and even though the three of us, my
Can I
cozy
just make
cabin,
one quick comment? I gotta say, this is a really special. Well, this is a special show for a lot of reasons, but there are some shows where my lighting isn't so good. We've had some shows where Hilary's lighting hasn't been so good. We have some shows where the guest lighting hasn't been so good. Always something. And all three of us, I'm afraid we're going to break the internet. Look how good looking. Look how good looking. Can three people this good looking be on the same screen and not break the internet? This is dangerous what we're doing
Well,
right
David,
now.
you're bringing your glow. Your glow is
my-
reflecting off of all of us, and so it's you, David.
I'm a
Your
third of it.
glow is overwhelming all of us. It's beautiful.
See, now
I'll
that's
take
a
credit
good.
that I'm part of it. I'm part of it, but Look at this. Look at the three
See,
of us.
this is a good tech director because when he was saying this is such a special show, and I was like, you're right. We had Darius de Haas on to sing a cappella, share his family and his stories, and you're talking about the lighting, which that's a good tech director.
Look, it takes a lot. It takes a village.
Hey, Darius's music speaks for
so many
itself.
elements. There's so many elements.
So Darius, for our young, I see there's some young actors and some not so young actors, but in our chat, some dear friends who I would love to hear what advice you would have for them, who would like to have more work, want to do good work. What is the secret of longevity as an actor in this crazy, wacky industry?
I would say first and foremost, stay open.
Mm.
Stay open and really lean into the things that are your strengths and really expand on that because you don't know where it will take you. My career really is a testament to things I had no idea that I was going to do what I would do. You know, I knew I wanted to come to New York and I knew I wanted to be on Broadway and all of that. But in terms of how it rolled out and in terms of the people that I got to meet early in my career, I had no idea what those relationships were going to turn into much later, many years later. And you have to be open to that. I knew that when I was doing the show, The Bubbly Black Girl, back in 1999, no, back in 2000, and I said, I really want to sing more. I really want to do concerts. I want to. There's just something that I want to do, and I want to be able to have a little bit more autonomy in my career. And I didn't know what that meant really. And I discovered the music of Billy Strayhorn, and who wrote these great songs with Duke Ellington and wrote wonderful stuff like Lush Life and Take the A Train. And I did a concert of his music. And that led to a 3-week stint at a cabaret in New York, which led to a recording, which I wasn't expecting. And then it led to a concert career, which I really wasn't expecting. That wasn't, I just said, I just want to sing more. I just want to do concerts. But the fact that it became its own entity,
Mhm.
and then the recordings after that, I could not have known what that was going to be. And then even in terms of the type of theater I did, the theater that I did early on in my career in New York, I mean, yes, there was Rent and there was Kiss of the Spider Woman, but all the off-Broadway stuff I did, there was a lot of experimental stuff that I did. Running Man, the show that you mentioned briefly, that really gave me my sort of New York thing. It's like, oh, well, here's an actor that we can pay attention to, this little off-Broadway show, Running Man, and that's what kind of, I had no idea. It came from Mrs. Maisel came from out of nowhere, really. And it came from a friend. It came from being friends with Janice Siegel, who is a member of the Manhattan Transfer, the legendary group, the Manhattan Transfer, and Robin Erding, the musical supervisor, being friends with Janice Siegel, saying, look, we need a singer to supply the voice for Shy Baldwin. And Janice gave her a list of names. My name was on that list. Robin called me. She said, can you give me some recordings? I said, sure. And that was on a Friday. Friday night, I had the job. uh, it really
Connecting the dots. It's
it
all
was really connecting the dots and just being open. I mean, you just never know. I mean, so I would say to anyone, really lean into who and what your strengths are. I mean, I think the beautiful thing about being the age that we are now, Hilary, and really being able to take the time to appreciate, you know, what we have done and what we've accomplished. And I mean, look at all the work that you've done with the deaf community and the work you've done as a filmmaker and how you have taken this opportunity to be able to shine the light on all these different people that you know and all the people that we have in common, you know, really taking the bull by the horns. That's really what it's about, and knowing that you have power in that. You know, I
I
think
totally
actors tend
agree.
to feel that, you know, we, you know, because, you know, you're waiting for the job and there is that thing of, okay, am I ever going to work again and all that stuff. But being able to connect with community, that's why it's beautiful that we have our AMDA family and being able to, uh, you know, connect in that way and having that sense of that is really, that really means a lot.
I agree.
And it's a sustenance thing as well.
I agree because it's career, especially careers in the arts, they're rarely linear. I mean, there's a lot of zigzags, slow times, times where you may hit the jackpot and then nothing for a while again. And
Nothing.
I mean, like Paul Racy, who
Once.
we had on last week, it took him 40 years to get Sound of Metal on Amazon, and now he's up for an Oscar, you know. But and it's like, oh, where'd you come from? He's like, well, I've been around for 40 years. And so it's in my opinion, and you know, my belief is that as an artist is to keep generating work. You know,
Absolutely. Well,
we
you know,
live
I'll
in
give
a
another great example. You know, our dearly departed Cicely Tyson, who died earlier this month, and people are giving her flowers as she has gone, you know, into our spiritual realm. But you know, here's the thing: Cicely Tyson really wasn't a known entity. She didn't until she was like 47, 48. You know,
amazing.
I had no idea how old Cicely Tyson was until I saw Trip to Bountiful, and I found out that she was, you know, close to 90. And then, of course, she died. I think she was 94, 95 when she passed away.
Mhm.
But, you know, she had, you know, she did the films in 74 and 75 with Sounder and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. And, you know, of course, created this major career. But then there were years where you didn't see Cicely Tyson at all,
Right.
you know, and because she made very particular choices about the types of roles she was going to play and how she, you know, and you know, just like with every actor, how do you weather those things? You know, she created a school for young actors. You know, she has the Cicely Tyson School in New Jersey of performing arts, and all those things. But there were years where we didn't see Cicely Tyson, years that we didn't see Meryl Streep, really. You know, now you see her everywhere. But
It's a marathon. It's
yeah,
an
it
ultra
really,
marathon.
yeah, it is not it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Not at all. All right. Well, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I think it's really important, is that you're also a member of Black Theater United, which is an incredibly important organization and movement. So tell everyone a little bit about Black Theater United.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. Black Theater United is an organization that came together out of the great distress, anger, sadness of the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, many people in the trans community, all these Black people, all this violence committed against Black and brown bodies. And we, in the theater community, founding members, including people like Audra McDonald,
Kelly Williams.
Shelley Williams, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Kenny Leon, your dear Kenny Leon, myself, and stage managers and sound designers. We've all come together as a unit to combat systemic racism in the country and in the theater, and to try to call theaters to on what those institutionalized racist structures, practices are, and to move that out and to create a new theater.
And not just on stage, but as directors, as playwrights,
Yes.
and especially like BIPOC women, to have more like voices like Shelley, to have her voice heard, and that oftentimes it's I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but theater is basically, a lot of the heavy players are straight white cis men,
Yes. Absolutely.
able-bodied hearing, if you want to tag that on to add even more,
Yes.
part of the majority, and that there's other voices, and theater belongs to all of us. And we
Absolutely.
want to see experiences reflected that look like our lives, the fabric of this current world, which is hugely diverse. And
Yes.
we're hearing this many stories when it's actually a universe.
Yes.
It's a
And so
solar
that's
system.
Black Theater United's mission in terms of working within these theater structures, working with these producers, working with these artistic directors, working with working with other great organizations, partnering with other great organizations that have come about last year, and creating solid policy, creating things, to create a more diverse, more equitable working space, not just on stage, but off stage as well, behind the scenes, so that there isn't, you can't just count one Black female sound technician,
Check, we did that.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. Karen Ford, who is also one of our founding members, brilliant Karen Ford. But so that we can see more people like
I
her.
agree.
So, absolutely.
So Darius, thank you so much for sharing your time and talents. David, let's bring us back to the talk show set and give Darius a big round of applause for his incredible talents and sharing his time and work with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if you've not hit the subscribe button, please do, because next week we are talking to Jeanette Wynn, creative director. We're talking fashion like you've never seen or heard of it. And the week after that, we have got Rosalie Tim, incredible deaf performer icon, who is doing performances in sign language that you absolutely need to see. Thank you so much for all of you tuned in live and your questions. I feel like I could talk to you all day. We're gonna have to do something else again, because this is really special and incredible. And David, my
awesome.
co-host, my right-hand man, I don't want to say literally because we're all switched around here in the studio, but Darius, where can the people find you and follow you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, Darius de Haas. I'm just Darius de Haas, DariusDehaas on Instagram. You can follow the Darius de Haas page on Facebook. I'm very findable. Twitter, I'm Darius de Haas. I am Darius de Haas. So yes, I'm everywhere. I'm very findable, and I would love to see you.
So thank you again, Darius, so much for being here. Thank you, David. And as usual, we appreciate you. Thanks for hanging with Hilari. Come on, Dee Dee, I got a dragon to ride out of this studio. Let's cue some music, and thank you, everyone. Come on, Dee Dee, we're out. We got places to go. Hi, everyone. Thank